Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. Back again with more Flesh and Blood monthly sales data ripped off of TCG Player. And this time I have a little extra new surprise for you, something I've been promising with this data generator for a while and finally got around to actually pounding out some code to do. So we start this month as usual. Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, and Crucible of War Unlimited. And you can just see they gave up all those price gains that they had made in the previous month and slipped back down. But steady sales. Now, here's the new part. We can look at tables that actually show us August boxes, September boxes, and the month-over-month change in number of boxes sold. And then the same thing for average prices over the month of the boxes sold. So this is not average daily price, it's the average of all the boxes that were actually sold. And the interesting thing to see here is Arcane Rising this month sold 70% more boxes than the previous month. It's because the price came down. Now, this 7% here understates what actually happened to the price. The price today is $84, and the average for all the sales over September was $93. And so the price kind of came down faster and stimulated a lot more of these sales over the course of the month. Now, I also added revenue in here month over month. And, mostly because it was the numbers to calculate it were already sitting there in the background in the code. And so I just multiplied them together and added them to this table. But I think this is useful to give us some actual numbers to back up the looks of these plots. So moving on, Monarch First Edition versus Unlimited. And you see it held about the same price difference between the two as it always does. And Monarch First Edition continued to pull ahead. Pulling up the actual numbers, the sales of Monarch First Edition, I'm not going to say collapsed because that's a bit dramatic, but they were down 39%. Monarch Unlimited actually increased in sales, but with such a tiny base, it doesn't feel very significant. And the same as most everything this month, prices fell. It's just a rough market right now. It's been rough for Flesh and Blood for, basically most of this calendar year. And with the rest of the macro economy right now, it's just going to remain rough for a while. The honeymoon phase with Flesh and Blood is over, and now it's all about executing, about hosting events, about putting out good products, about supporting the community. It's about working with card stores and making a good product consistently. Moving on to Tales of Arya First Edition versus Unlimited. Interesting to see how the prices have narrowed between the two products here. I guess that doesn't really speak well. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure what I think that means. If we look at the real numbers that are behind these, though, again, sales were down and just not very impressive. Tales of Arya kind of sits there in a weird spot where it came after Monarch and all the drama of it, and it feels like it's never really found its footing. Surprisingly, the price was up an amount that is basically in the noise, 5% from $56 to $59. I mean, you could see that kind of action if stores selling it just changed their shipping policy to include or not include shipping in the headline price that TCG Player reports when I take these data from them. So Everfest compared to Uprising, this is something we've been following for a while since we actually have release date data for both of these. But you can see that Uprising is still trailing Everfest considerably. And I actually had somebody respond last month or the month before with a really interesting argument for why. And he pointed out that Everfest was kind of the small supplemental set that comes at the end of a generation of Flesh and Blood, where Uprising was the first expansion in the third generation, and so it has more draft support in store, and potentially people are acquiring more of their Uprising product in store through draft events, or maybe they're allocating more of their Uprising purchase to draft events. And I thought that was an interesting theory, and it would certainly go at least a little way to explaining the disparity in sales between Uprising and Everfest. I don't think it goes all the way to explaining it, but it's satisfying in a way to explain some of it. I've always contended that the main reason was After the Monarch first edition numbers were released, basically most of the weak-handed investors got scared away, and they're not coming back anytime soon. One day they will return, but this is the opportunity to be buying these boxes right now while the market is weak. Well, not just the flesh and blood market is weak, but the TCG market is weak and the entire economy is weak. It's the perfect time you should be buying this stuff. Like I always say, it's all underpriced. Saddled History Pack Volume 1 just kind of cratered at cheapest price that it could, almost right out of the gate. And oof, yeah, so sales of that dropped 45% on a number of box basis, even though the price still held the same this month. So something interesting I wanted to do was come down all the way to the first edition of Everfest and grab Uprising and just look at the table. I'll not look at the plots of these, but you can see that out of all of the main expansions this month, virtually everything lost ground in terms of number of boxes sold. The only exceptions were Arcane Rising Unlimited and Monarch Unlimited. And again, in terms of price, nearly everything lost value this month. So this is the market telling you if you are a stable-handed person, if you are a calm, patient, long-term investor, this is the market telling you that now is the time to be buying this stuff, to be filling in your positions, to be getting things you missed earlier, or to be acquiring more of the particular ones that you think are the best products. And, I definitely think Arcane Rising is a great product. I still think less Crucible of War Unlimited exists in the world than people appreciate. And just in general, I think all these products will do great going forward. So let me know what you think about the new table data that I've added to this, anything you think I could add to make it even better. I'd always appreciate that. Any ideas you have, theories, questions, whatever else. Otherwise, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Final Trade and consider joining the Patreon. Thanks a lot.